This is crazy. We have Floyd versus Conor going down in approximately a week and a half, and all anyone can talk about is Paulie Malignaggi versus Conor McGregor. Now, man, I hate Paulie, and I truly wish Conor was fighting someone like Pacquiao, Triple G, or Canelo, so I could root for one of those guys to kick his ass, as both of these guys seem to be playing way too much into the drama. But one thing I see from all this is that Conor really doesn't hit as hard as he thinks he does, and he really doesn't hit as hard as the UFC and the MMA community want you to believe he does. In every piece of sparring footage that I have seen, Conor looks terrible as a boxer, and his partners seem to have no respect for his power. Now, Conor goes on about kicking Paulie's ass, but thinking of how severely Paulie has had his ass kicked in the past, I mean, we all remember Sean Porter. We all remember Miguel Cotto. We all even remember Danny Garcia. So from the footage I saw, Conor did hardly much ass kicking in relation to how severely Paulie has had his ass kicked. Conor also says that he concussed Paulie. Now, again, from this footage, Paulie hardly looks concussed, especially when we compare it to what he looked like against Sean Porter. I mean, Paulie nearly died in the ring, and then he cried during the post-fight interview. Now, that was a great, great night of boxing. I loved it. Paulie got his ass kicked, and he cried. But Conor's little BS hits and the questionable knockdown, I mean, I'm hearing that it was professionally edited, and when you play it in slow motion, you see the little edits and clips in it, and it's not a fluid, just fight scene. In any event, I guess at the end you see Joe Cortez shaking off the no knockdown, which a lot of the clips do not have, but some do have it. I guess Dana White specifically had that, and Conor specifically had that removed. Obviously, if the ref is saying no knockdown, and everyone else is in the UFC is saying a knockdown, it's kind of strange. But anyways, I do understand that they were in sparring gloves and they had headgear on, but I just don't think Conor hits that hard, man. And you have to assume that, being that the UFC and McGregor released this specific footage, it most likely was the best footage they could find, his actual highlight reel. And it, in comparison to what we've seen, what we've seen done to Paulie, it just did not look that good. Now, one thing that Paulie said that made a lot of sense to me was that Paulie admitted he came in terrible shape. And, we have to pretty much agree with him on that. By looking at the photos, he's very chubby. And he does not look like the Paulie that we see who fights as a welterweight, or even the Paulie that we saw at 140. And so Paulie's question was, if the UFC, Dana White in particular, and Conor are saying that it was a one-sided beating, why couldn't they stop him in 12 rounds? Which made a lot of sense to me. I mean, if a guy's out of shape and you're beating him handedly, how can he last 12 rounds? I mean, now if it's a competitive fight, Conor gets around here, Paulie gets around here, obviously it has a better chance of going 12 rounds. So Not that I'm sticking up for Paulie because I don't like the guy, but that definitely makes a lot of sense. Now, I keep thinking that this is all a big setup. Conor really is better than this. All the footage that he's put out has been strategic. We have a week and a half, we'll see, but it's not looking that way. I mean, he's so happy about knocking Paulie down, but Paulie's not even that good. So we have to wonder, is Conor the new Ronda Rousey? Is he this hype train? I mean, we remember Ronda was put on the cover of Ring magazine. We were told she could beat Floyd Mayweather. We were told she was the best female athlete on the planet. Not only the best female athlete on the planet, the best athlete in the history of mankind. Remember, Joe Rogan said, in human history, the best athlete in human history, in mankind. And then we remember how Holly Holm completely demolished her. And she was never the same. The hype train was exposed. Well, the same thing happened to Conor. Now, I've also heard Paulie say boxers like Andre Berto and Stevie Johnson have refused to spar with Conor because of the leaked footage. Also, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, Berto made a ton of money off the Mayweather fight. He doesn't need it. Stevie Johnson may need the money, but why would they risk their reputation and go through that headache just to spar with Conor, who they know will probably put out some highly edited and fictitious footage? On the other hand, Paulie also said Floyd is sparring with Earl Spence and Zab Judah. Now, if he really is sparring with Earl Spence, I mean, he is preparing for power. In my mind, there is absolutely no way Conor's more powerful than Earl Spence. And I don't know if Earl's just taking it easy on Floyd. I mean, I think Earl would run over Floyd in a real fight, but no question in my mind, Earl is far more powerful than Conor. And if Floyd is really sparring with him, I mean, he's prepared for power. In any event, now here's some footage of Conor talking about him concussing Paulie. Now, why Conor would worry about concussing Paulie when Paulie has been pretty much knocked senseless by Sean Porter is beyond me, but here's that video.
He tried his best, but he got his ass whooped. And you were the guy he was going and interviewing straight away. Tell me how his face looked. Tell me how the tempo looked. He was badly concussed after them rounds. Like badly rattled. He was flattened, knocked down. The ropes kept him up multiple times in the fight. The sparring partners who he was with in the house were worried about him and ringing us saying they're worried about him. He's stumbling out of the car and he's incoherent. And so I don't know what happened with him, but at the end of the day, we get in and we trade blows. So I respect him for coming in and trying his best and trying to answer for what he's been saying. It didn't go well for him. I don't know why he sprinted out there. I mean, his ego was dented. But I mean, how many world tours did he go on? How many interviews did he? What did he expect? What did he say previous? I mean, you came in, you tried to answer what you've been saying and try and prove what you've been saying, but you got your ass whooped. And that's it. I can say no more about it. It's sad the way it went down. I was never trying to ridicule anyone. I mean, the only picture I actually released was the one behind my back. The one with the hands behind my back. I didn't release any distorted face images or any of that. And he had this attitude that everyone was against him. The UFC people were brought in. Dana Lorenzo. They owned the building. What am I going to say? Hey, you know what I mean? These are people that just show up. So it is what it is. In my opinion, it was the best thing for him. He was looking for a way out. It presented himself, and he dived all over it and sprinted out of it. That's it. We move on. We carry on. We've got a fight in a couple of weeks.
Wants you to release the full footage of the sparring. Is that going to happen?
Oh yeah, hold on, and I released 12 full rounds right as I'm preparing for a fight. Like, I mean, let's be real here. What was the talking point was the knockdown and that round, and that was sent, and they didn't want to show it. So hey, what can I do? I showed the knockdown. I showed him getting rattled against the ropes in that round, and that's it. And it doesn't look like they are going to show it. So hold on, I show 12 rounds. Here you go. because some guy hadn't got the last at training camp with me. What can I say? That's it. We move on.
Here's Chris talking about how Conor tried to set him up, but he had his own footage to tell the correct story of what happened.
When you heard the Paulie Malignaggi story, I guess there was some similarities there. What do you think of what you heard about what happened to him?
I was expecting it, but I thought after Conor went there, or after Paulie went there, I spoke to Paulie. In fact, I speak to Paulie. He's furious. But after Paulie went there the first time, and I saw his comments and feedback, he was very Conor. He was very for Conor. He was like, you know what, guys? You guys are all going to be surprised. Connor's not bad. He's bad. And I thought, you know what? These guys are they buddy. Good for them. But deep down, I was expecting something to come out eventually, and he did. And I was like, exactly what he did to you guys is what he did to me. And I was called a snake. I said, but the only difference is I had footage before he does it.